In a serene village in ancient Japan, an old Zen master was known for his profound wisdom. His presence was as calming as the soft rustle of bamboo leaves, and his words as insightful as the early morning sun piercing through the dense forest. This Zen master, a beacon of wisdom, was revered throughout the village, his teachings echoing in every household, in every heart. Within this peaceful village, there was a young disciple, a bud of potential, eager to bloom under the master's guidance. His heart was full of ambition, yet it was also plagued by a looming shadow, the fear of poverty. He was like a bird eager to soar high, but held back by the weight of a stone tied to its leg. And so, one day as the morning sun painted the sky with hues of gold and orange, the young disciple decided to face his fear. He walked towards the Zen master's abode, his steps echoing his determination. He found the master seated under the blossoming cherry tree, his eyes closed in meditation, his face serene as the still pond nearby. As he approached, the master's eyes opened, his gaze meeting the young man's. There was a moment of silence. Then, the disciple, gathering his courage, knelt before the master, his heart pounding like a drum against his chest. He lowered his head in respect, then raised his eyes to meet the master's gaze. His voice wavered slightly as he said, "Master, I have been your disciple for many moons now. I have learned much, yet one fear remains that clouds my heart and taints my spirit. It is the fear of poverty." His words hung in the air, a plea for guidance, for wisdom. The Zen master, his eyes reflecting understanding, nodded gently. The disciple, his heart pounding, searched the master's face for a hint of the wisdom he sought. Then, after a moment of silence that seemed to stretch into eternity, the disciple found the courage to voice his question. "Master," the disciple asked, "how can I live without the fear of poverty?" The disciple, with a spark in his eyes, was eager to absorb the wisdom of his master. With a deep breath, he began to share his inner turmoil. "Master," he started, his voice quivering, "I find myself entangled in the thorny vines of worry and fear. Despite my relentless labor, the specter of poverty lurks in the shadows of my every thought." His words hung in the air, painting an image of a man caught in a relentless storm, wrestling with a fear that was as tangible as the wind. "I rise with the sun, and until it sets, I toil and sweat. Yet my heart beats with the anxiety of destitution. The fruits of my labor seem to slip through my fingers like grains of sand." The Zen master listened, his face a calm sea amidst the disciple's storm. His eyes, steeped in wisdom, never left the disciple's face. Every word, every sigh, every pause was absorbed, acknowledged with a gentle nod. The disciple continued, "I feel like a hamster on a wheel, running tirelessly but remaining in the same spot. I work harder, I run faster. But the fear of poverty, it doesn't recede. It's like a shadow, always there, always following." His voice echoed through the silence, mirroring the struggles of many. It was a silent battle, one fought in the recesses of the mind, away from the world's prying eyes. Yet it was as real as the sun that rose and set every day. He paused, looking at the master, his eyes pleading for an answer. "I've tried to outrun it, to outwit it, but it's always there. It's a constant companion, an unwelcome guest that refuses to leave." His voice trailed off, the weight of his words leaving a profound silence. His eyes, once sparkling with eagerness, now clouded with despair, looked to the Zen master. "Master, I toil day and night, yet the fear of poverty haunts me. What should I do?" The Zen master, after a moment of silence, began to speak. "Consider the 4 seasons," he said, his voice calm and soothing. "Spring, with its burst of life and color, is a time of growth and prosperity. But then comes summer, when the heat can be oppressive and the growth slows. Autumn follows, a time of harvest but also of decay, and finally winter, a season often associated with death and poverty. Life, my dear disciple, is much like these seasons. It is a cycle, ever-changing and unpredictable. There will be times of plenty, like spring, and there will be times of scarcity, like winter. Fear of poverty stems from the lack of understanding and acceptance of this cycle. It is the refusal to acknowledge that winter is as much a part of life as spring." The disciple furrowed his brows, grappling with the concept. "But master," he interjected, "how does one survive the harsh winter? How does one ensure that the spring will return?" The master smiled gently. "You cannot ensure that spring will return, just as you cannot ensure that you will never face hardship, but you can prepare for it. You can cultivate resilience and resourcefulness. You can learn to make the most of what you have, and to save for the harder times. You can learn to see the beauty in each season and to find joy and purpose even in the midst of winter." The disciple was silent, his mind churning. The master's words were simple, yet they challenged everything he had believed about wealth and poverty. He was seeking a concrete solution, a magic formula to banish poverty forever. But the master was offering something different, something deeper. An understanding of life's cycles and the ability to navigate them with grace and wisdom. "But master," the disciple finally asked, his voice filled with uncertainty, "how can I apply this wisdom in my life?" With the master's words echoing in his mind, the disciple began his journey of understanding. The teachings of the Zen master were not simple. They were like the changing seasons, always evolving, always moving. The disciple, viewing his life through this lens, started to notice these shifts within himself as well. There were challenges, of course. Winter's harshness often mirrored his own struggles. Spring's renewal, his fleeting moments of success. Each stumble, each fall was a new lesson learned, a new wisdom gained. Yet he did not falter. He did not give up. He remembered the master's teachings and applied them, not just in moments of prosperity, but more importantly, in times of scarcity. He began to understand the ebb and flow of life, the rhythm of the seasons, the cycle of growth and decay. As he stumbled and got up again, the disciple realized that the master's teachings were not about avoiding poverty, but about overcoming the fear of it. After months of trials and tribulations, the disciple returned to the Zen master. His face wore the lines of experience, etched through time and challenges. "Master," he began, "I've come to realize that fear, like the shadow of a tree, is longest at dawn and dusk. It is the uncertainty of what's to come and a reflection of what's left behind." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "Your teachings showed me that just as the seasons change, so do our circumstances. Like the cherry blossoms, wealth may bloom and wither, but it's the tree that remains, its roots deep and strong." Gratitude welled up in his voice as he continued, "I've learned that wealth is not just material, but also the richness of mind and spirit. And it's this understanding, this acceptance of the nature of life, that has helped me overcome my fear of poverty." "Thank you, Master, for showing me that the fear of poverty was in my mind. I now understand that wealth is not just material, but also the richness of mind and spirit."